Hello everyone, tell me, have you ever gone into a room and forgotten why you've gone in there? Or have you gone to say something to someone and then they've interrupted you, which is what my darling boy and I often do to each other. And then when it came to your point of talking, then you can't remember for life nor money what you were going to say. Then that is quite normal as you're getting older. But what if you started your day and then missed the rest of it? Then that is more unusual, and it happened to me. So if you haven't had that happen to you, then maybe you should stick around to find out what caused it. Back in 2018, we'd been invited to a wedding, and on that day, it was a summer's day, and I got up and I got dressed, ready, and we set off because it was quite a long way to go. And when we arrived at our destination, we were given a greeting drink, which was lovely, and then at around midday, we went into the ceremony, and the wedding ceremony was lovely, as all weddings are. And then something happened, and that was the last thing I remember until late that evening, when I found myself at Stevenage Hospital in the A&E department. So nothing showed that I had a problem. I apparently ate and ordered my lunch and pudding, of course, and then coffee. And clearly I must have sat chatting to people, including my darling boy, and appeared perfectly normal. And then later in the day, the band started, and I really do love dancing, but only when I'm on my own. These days, I'm just too shy to dance in front of anybody. Now, I am of an age where I grew up watching Pan's People on Top of the Pops, and I used to in my youth dance like them. I had all the steps and I had all the moves, and I just loved it. But I've long since passed that age, and I no longer did it, and I have gone within my shell. Now, you might think, well, what are you doing on YouTube? But believe me, if you look at my earlier videos, you'll know it took me a lot to get this channel up and running. I was like a rabbit in the headlights. So because I clearly love dancing, I got up onto the dance floor, apparently I got up onto the dance floor, and I was having a whale of a time. I was giving it all my jazzy moves, and at one point later on in the evening, I wanted to entice my husband to come up on the dance floor and dance with me. And he'd been watching me thinking, wow, she's totally uninhibited. This is unusual. And I was doing all of this and doing all of this. I cringe when I think about it. I must have looked very odd, I must have looked drunk. And yet, apart from that drink when we first went in, I had nothing. And in general, I don't drink. I'm a tea person or a coffee person, and I don't drink. So gradually, as the evening went on and I was still dancing, well, somebody said to my husband, "Do you think Imogen is okay? Do you think Imogen is okay?" And he looked at me and he thought, she doesn't normally dance in front of people. I think there's something wrong. So he eventually came onto the dance floor and said, "Are you all right?" And it was at that point that he looked at me with fresh eyes and thought, no, she's not right. There is something dreadfully wrong with this woman. Now you might say, from watching my videos, well, clearly, Imogen, we've often thought that, but we don't want to comment. But clearly, that day, there was something dreadfully wrong. So he stopped me from dancing and he sat me down, and then it was decided that I needed to be taken to hospital. So they did. They took me to the A&E department at Stevenage Hospital, and I sat there. It was a Friday, I think, and clearly every A&E department that late on in the evening is packed to the gunnels. So we had a long wait, although it didn't seem long to me. I was away with the fairies, and eventually it was my turn. And the doctor came in and he asked me various questions like, who is the Prime Minister? Where are you? What year is it? What month is it? And who is this sitting next to you? Well, I still recognise my own husband, but I still wasn't right. I was gradually coming back down to earth, but I still wasn't right. Time was an elastic thing. I had no idea how long I'd been sitting there, and it was very odd. Now, I had this type of episode once before, and I was taken by ambulance that time to hospital. And I'd had a scan and everything because they thought maybe I was suffering an ischemic attack, a sort of mini stroke type thing, but it was deemed that wasn't it. And eventually I got diagnosed with transient global amnesia. Now, when you have that, you can lose an entire day, 24 hours. Now, I had only lost about 11 hours of my life that day, the wedding day. And I cannot remember anything, not sitting down and eating, not chatting, certainly not dancing, which is probably just as well, because I'd be too embarrassed now. I can't remember anything. And I've never been able to retrieve those memories. It's like somebody has got into your computer brain and deleted and wiped those memories from that time. Anything could have happened, and I wouldn't be able to recall it. The first time it happened, I was at a ladies' gym, and I had been walking around, or going from piece of equipment to piece of equipment. And in this ladies' gym, you sit on these pieces of equipment and they move and you resist them. So that's how you get your exercises. And they exercise one body part at a time. And when I used to go to this gym, which is still, I think, above a shop in the high street, so you go up the stairs and then you come to a balcony and then you walk into this lady's gym. And the lady on the counter owns the gym. Very nice lady. So I'd gone in there, I'd taken off my outerwear and I got my gym clobber on, and I put the rest in a locker. And I got halfway through my second amount of these exercises and then I got up, and seemingly I'd walked past her like some sort of automaton and gone straight past her, not said anything, not collected all my stuff, walked out of the door and turned left, which meant I just went up to the end of the balcony where there was a rail and you could go no further. So she looked at me apparently and she spoke to me, but I didn't hear her. And then she looked out of the window and saw I was just standing at the end of this balcony looking, I suppose, confused. So she came out on the balcony and she said, "Are you okay, Imogen?" And I didn't know what to say, apparently. And then she chaperoned me into the gym again, sat me down, started talking to me. I don't remember that. And she rang my husband. That was actually the first time it happened. So then she'd phoned an ambulance because she thought there's something clearly wrong with this woman. And they took me to hospital and they gave me a scan and so on and so forth. And then I had to go back to see if I'd had a stroke, which I hadn't, a mini stroke. And then at a later time it was diagnosed. When I went back to outpatients, they said, "You've had a transient global amnesia attack. But don't worry, you won't get one again. These only happen very, very rarely, probably once in your life, and that's it." So, of course, the next time it happened, maybe a year or so later, it was at the wedding, and that one was far longer. And of course, then my darling boy thought, "Oh, I think I recognise this." By the time I was dancing all night long, that he recognised I clearly wasn't in my right mind. And so that's when the alarm bells started to ring for him. Then it happened again after that time. I was downstairs and then suddenly I had been transported upstairs. Now this one must have lasted about 10 minutes because I had no idea how I got there, what I was there for, or anything. And I thought, this is so weird. I sort of transported myself upstairs with bypassing the stairs. In my memory, I don't know how I got there. 1 minute I was downstairs, 1 minute I was upstairs. A little while had gone past, and then I was back on earth again. So clearly it doesn't always happen just once. It doesn't always happen when you've been exercising a lot. Because even at the gym, I hadn't got a sweat on. I was very sedate in my exercises. I wasn't breathing hard or anything, so that wasn't it. And I hadn't done anything energetic until the evening, but I'd been like it since the midday ceremony, just after. So maybe from about 12:30. It hasn't happened, touch wood, since then. But subsequent to those little episodes, my darling boy and I always follow each other on Find My Friends on our telephones, primarily so that he can know where I am if my head goes AWOL, because it is a little worrying. You don't get any warning, you don't get an aura or anything else. It is like, boom, you've gone. And for love nor money, you can never get those memories back. They are just like they have been wiped from your memory hard drive. Or the hard drive just wasn't recording for all of those hours. Now that is quite extraordinary, isn't it? The brain is such a funny thing. Anyway, if you have been, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.